I think we should start the film. It doesn't look like anybody else is going to come in. Yeah, the last Tuesday night live stream had very low attendance as well, which is frustrating because Thursday with Jackie and the Manos watch through, we had such excellent attendance, and then Monster Squad, I was surprised at how good the attendance was, and then last Tuesday and then tonight almost nothing. I mean, two people. Miranda Stokes says a comedy series, parody docs. It's very good. It's a comedy series, parody documentaries, yeah, mockumentaries, yeah. I've not heard of it. I'll have to look that up. Um, and the last four episodes of the Steven Universe Future series showed last Friday, and it was or Friday a week ago, not yesterday, and it was excellent. It was excellent. Not the series ending that I expected, but then that's what Rebecca Sugar, the creator of Steven Universe, always does. She always surprises me. But supposedly that's the last of Steven Universe. That's the last, and it's been 7 years now, I think. Miranda says you would like it. Okay. Eric says it's hilarious. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. All right. Let's start the films. Before that, though, I'm going to show you a graphic that I made. This still that I took from Animal Farm, and I photoshopped the faces onto it. There's Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and what's his name, the Microsoft guy, Bill Gates, and the Walmart sister and Warren Buffett and Coke, whatever his first name is, Coke, and then that last guy there, the one closest to us is the creator of Alibaba, the Asian mail order company. Anyway, when I saw that still from Animal Farm, I immediately thought of doing this, so I went ahead. All right, so we're going to. Miranda says, "I love this. Can you send it to me?" Yeah, sure. I posted it on my personal Tumblr. I still have a personal Tumblr. I like the Tumblr format and the Tumblr user interface so much. Even though Tumblr is pretty much dead, I still look at it every day. I still post stuff every once in a while. But yeah, I'll send it to you. Let's get started with the cartoon. I don't know if I'll be... I'll talk with you through the cartoon and through the educational film, but through the movie, I don't know how much talking I'll do. I'll be sitting here watching it with you. It's not a movie to riff, and it's not a movie to chat all the way through. But I'll keep I'll be here and I'll turn the microphone on if somebody comes in and has a question or whatever. All right, let's look at this cartoon. This is the first Mighty Mouse cartoon I've shown.
Hello, Wilbur.
Hello, Irving.
Hey, you're eating a carrot.
Yes, I'm a vegetarian now. I'm off all meat, especially lamb chops.
Go on, you're kidding.
Listen, you'd be a vegetarian too if the same thing happened to you. It all started one day when I was out looking for a nice, tender sheep. It looked like a setup. The dog in charge was a real square.
I am a noble sheepdog. I've never lost a sheep. I'm always on the job, I am. I never stop to sleep. Alert to every danger, I'm always wide awake. I'm strong and bold, do what I'm told.
Oh yeah, go jump in the lake. Da 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 da. I did da 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 da. I did da 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 da. What happened? Who did that?
The sheep are safe when I'm in charge, for I'm a champion, born and bred. I'm strong and bold, do what I'm told.
Oh yeah? Go soak your head.
Like I was saying, I hadn't seen this one before, so it was a pleasant surprise for me. I like this wolf's voice, that stuffy nose of his. Eric says definitely Tex Avery influence. I think you're right, like a screwy squirrel kind of sound and look. This is unusual for Terry Tunes.
Something funny is going on around here. I can't figure it out.
The sheep do graze on yonder hill, as far as the eye can see. No wicked wolf would dare approach. He knows they're safe with me.
I like the idea that the wolf doesn't know what's happening.
Hey, just a minute. I know you. You're a wolf.
You're right. I am a wolf.
You better not try any of your tricks, 'cause I'm alert. I am. And no wolf is smart enough to put anything over on me. No, sir. With my keen ears and eyes, no wolf has a chance.
Who's doing this to me?
I show no mercy to the wolves, no matter how they plead. For I'm a noble sheepdog, and fearless, yes indeed. I always know what's happening. I'm the smartest sheepdog yet. No wolf can get by my very keen eyes. My goodness, there's one in my net.
And that's why I am a vegetarian.
What a phony story. Why, there's nothing to catching sheep. I'll show you. There you are. It was easy.
See what I mean?
Yeah, that's. I was really pleasantly surprised when I found that. When I found that cartoon early today. I just got a bizarre email from Restream. Oh no, it's not from Restream. It just has a big red letter R on it, so I thought it was from Restream. It's from Representative Sheila Jackson Lee. I wonder what she wants. I thought it was odd that Restream would be sending me something about Sheila Jackson Lee. No, it's not Restream at all. Anyway, I was pleasantly surprised at that film because Terry Toons are like the very bottom end of theatrical animation, and it's really unusual to find a Terry Toon that's that has good gags and good timing, and that's original and entertaining like that. And also, Mighty Mouse was an incidental character. He was. It wasn't about Mighty Mouse. And Eric says almost like watching a classic Droopy cartoon. I was about to say the same thing. In the last half of that cartoon, that sheepdog was an awful lot like Droopy. His model sheet changed a little bit. At the beginning, he was more like the sheepdog from the Warner Brothers, the Chuck Jones Warner Brothers cartoons with the coyote and the sheepdog, you know, the Barney and Ralph cartoons. But then later on, he was more like Droopy. And the sheepdog didn't have a payoff. He didn't have an ending. But yeah, I like that one. And Terry Toons has such an unusual sound. A very unique and unusual sound to their music. They have lots of saxophone in their orchestra, and you can tell a Terry Toon by its music. Yeah, I'm glad I found that one. There are other Mighty Mouse cartoons I found to show for other films, which I'll definitely be doing in the future. So let's get started on the educational short. I swear that eagle's eye is a hammer and sickle. It looks so communist. It's called The Show Off. This is a strange little film.
My name's Kay Reynolds. I know you and I go to different schools, but I think we have the same kind of problems. This year, our class is in a terrible fix, and I thought if I could tell you about it, maybe you could help us. Well, let's see. Why, we could start right here in this class. I remember it was just about a month ago, and Miss Baldwin was reviewing us for a quiz.
Quiz will deal with the feudal system in Europe. Now you'll find this material on page 106 through 136. Jim,
Yes, Miss Baldwin?
put it down, please.
Put what down, Miss Baldwin?
Jim,
Yes, Miss Baldwin, all right.
the next part of our quiz will deal with the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. First, we will review the... Jim!
Well, Miss Baldwin, this chair just suddenly collapsed with me.
Frank, help him up.
Oh, God. This going to school is getting me pretty dangerous, you know.
Jim! We can't have any more of this. If you can't settle down and act your age, then I'll have to ask you to leave the room.
Well, Miss Baldwin, I haven't done anything. The chair just fell over with me. I don't see how that's my fault.
That's enough, Jim.
Jim Brewster was like that. He was really a pretty smart boy, I guess. But there was just something in him that made him always want to be the center of attention. Oh, I suppose some of us did secretly admire him for doing the things he did and still staying out of trouble, even though he did interfere with classwork.
I'm going to have to look at the credits and see where this was filmed.
At
She's so
first,
southern.
What he did seemed amusing. But as time went on, well, let me tell you what happened next. It was the time of year for the junior class play tryout. Most of the kids had been weeded out, and only the ones who were being considered for parts were there. Surprised to see Jim Brewster? Jim had talent, and for a while we thought Mrs. Jackson was going to give him the lead. Mrs. Jackson directed the junior play, and she did it afternoons after school, on her own time. Sometimes I suspect it tired her out.
All right, let's take the living room scene in Act 2.
You
Marie,
notice
you
our
read the part
narrator
of
here
Laura
is
Dugan.
talking about Jim in the past tense.
Harry, you read the part of Henry Carter.
Where are we supposed to start, Miss Jackson?
Well, you can start with Henry's speech there on the top of page 34.
Look, Lorna, it's all right with me if you see other men, but sometimes I think.
Henry, you know there's no one but you. The others are just faces. They don't mean a thing. Henry, do I really mean so much to you?
Am I supposed to do what it says here?
Yes, go ahead.
You mean everything to me.
Jim, you seem to think you can read this scene so well. Let's see you try it. Thanks, Harry.
I love how
Marie, you read
bad
the lines with
their
Jim.
line readings are when they're reading from the books. It sounds very
Lorna.
authentic.
It's all right with me if you see other men, but sometimes I think...
Henry, you know there's no one but you.
Jim, that'll be enough, Jim. George, will you read the lines with Marie?
Look, Lorna.
I don't think we'll go on with tryouts this afternoon.
What do you know? Tryouts are over already.
Well, what did you expect, funny boy?
What did you expect, funny boy? We need to remember that
Jim's
line.
wise guy behavior was beginning to wear a little thin with those of us who were exposed to it. Poor Mrs. Jackson, who already had a headache, just couldn't take the one that Jim was creating for her. And so, the class play got off to a poor start. But enough wasn't enough for Jim. It seemed as though he just couldn't stop until he'd finally gotten us all in a bad light. I remember it was at a party at Martha Harvey's house, and they were just serving refreshments.
See, she's talking in the past tense here. And I was wondering, the first time I watched this through, I was wondering all the way through if that was going to pay off at some point. It doesn't.
I'll bet you can. I'll just bet you can't do it.
I bet I can.
I don't think you can.
Okay, just walk. Maybe I hadn't better.
I told you couldn't do it.
All right, I'll show you. Hey, look out!
Oh, my best glove!
Thanks. I told you couldn't do it. Well, what's the matter? It's not the end of the world. I'll buy you some more glasses, Miss Harvey. Like you getting clumsy or something?
You tripped me.
No, Eric, Jim doesn't die.
Oh, I'm just sick about this glass and never will
See,
be
I was
able to
wondering if
replace
that
it.
would happen.
Sorry, Mother.
I don't know why you used your good crystal when you knew those young roughnecks were coming.
Oh, I wouldn't
young
call
roughnecks.
them all roughnecks.
Well, a bunch of smart alecks then.
My best glass.
Most of the kids acted all right, and Jim and Frank didn't mean to break the glass.
Well, maybe not. But it makes you wonder about kids nowadays. In my day, when you were invited to a party, everybody was supposed to act like ladies and gentlemen.
You can
Kids
see
nowadays.
how things were going. At first, it was just acting silly, when most of us really wanted to review for that quiz. And then the teachers began to think of us as that class. because of the nuisances that some of the kids were making of themselves. And after the party, well, some of the parents began to wonder too. But what happened later really cooked our goose. It seems Jim had practically run out of new ideas for ways of calling attention to himself in school. And so, one night, with the help of some of his friends, he hatched up this plan that was really daring, even for him.
See, he's got the rope there and everything. I was hoping, he would fall off a building or off a bridge or something. Like you said, clown himself to death. But no, that's not what
People
happened.
were pretty surprised, all right, when they came to school the next day. Jim and his helpers had created a sensation. The big sign was about all you could see, and it was evident that someone was going to have a difficult and dangerous time getting it down. Some joke. Maybe some of the members of the junior class got a kick out of it, but some of the other classes didn't think it was funny at all. They thought it was an eyesore on the whole school. Our principal, I guess you know, was fit to be tied. But even worse was the way most of us in the class felt. That big sign, like a badge of dishonor for all the town to see.
Badge of dishonor.
Yes, the word really got around about the junior class. And that's what made us mad. The word that got around wasn't a true picture of the junior class as a class at all. It left out the good things we did, the fine play we put on, the important things we learned, and all the studying we did. No, our reputation belonged to Jim Brewster and the little gang around him, who still thought he was pretty funny. After school that afternoon, the principal called the officers of the junior class into a meeting. Several of our teachers were there.
I'm afraid this class has put itself in a bad light. The stunt that was pulled last night has made it very embarrassing for the whole school, and for me personally. I've had several telephone calls from people who want to know what kind of a school we're running here. And frankly, I'd like to know myself. What we want to know is, what's behind all this?
There's nothing behind it, Mr. Scott. It's just a bunch of smart alecks showing off.
He thinks it's a communist plot.
There's nothing malicious about it.
Do you know who the ringleader is?
All the heads drop.
Do you, Kay?
Yes, we know.
It doesn't take news like that very long to get around.
You can understand my problem, can't you? As far as the people outside of the school are concerned, I am responsible for what goes on here. When some members of the class do something to disgrace the class and the school, it's up to the other members of the class to do something about it.
Well, what can we do?
Have any of you ever complained to these people who show off? Or do you really encourage them by thinking they're cute? Have you ever tried anything like ignoring them?
Why do you suppose these people show off?
Don't they have enough to do?
You asked me what you could do.
Don't they
I
have
think you
enough to
class
do?
officers should get together and discuss this problem among yourselves and come up with your own suggestions. Then we'll meet here Wednesday afternoon and work this problem out together. Thank you all for coming.
The sign said, "Yeah, juniors," right? Isn't that all it said?
Well, that's where we stand now. In a few minutes, our junior class officers are going to meet with a faculty committee. If you were in our shoes, what would you do about the show-offs? What do you think?
What do I think? What do I think? I wasn't terribly impressed with with the whole thing. I was expecting so much worse. Miranda is asking, is she the only person with an accent in the school? No, the others had accents as well, but she seemed to be one of the most pronounced. I mean, she spoke clearly and presented herself well. I imagine that's why she was chosen. But she did have a pretty pronounced Southern girl accent. I wanted to know what happened to Jim. I wanted to because the thing started out with all the teachers going Jim, 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 and then that kind of we didn't see much more of that anymore. I was wondering what Jim was going to do. Like I was saying, when he showed up with the rope around his arm, over his shoulder and everything, I was like, oh, here we go. He's going to fall off the railroad bridge or something. I like the way Eric said it. So Jim didn't clown himself to death. No, he didn't. Anyway, that was a film I'd never seen before either. I found a Wikipedia. Yeah, Eric says they want somebody to rat Jim out. Yeah, they wanted somebody to rat Jim out. What was I going to say? Oh, there's a Wikipedia page that lists all of the Coronet films. Apparently, it's a complete list of all the Coronet films. There's hundreds and hundreds of them. And I search them. I go up there and I search them by year. And every time I go looking for a specific year, I always find really interesting titles. I can almost never find the films themselves anywhere online. And I found this while just searching the year 1954, educational film 1954 on YouTube. And that was not a Coronet film. That was a Young American or whatever they call it. Yeah, Eric says it's very McCarthy-like. It wasn't quite that bad. But yeah, I imagine, yeah, in the 1950s that would have been pretty shocking. I'm trying to lower the white balance there. See, my face looks pretty good when I get it to darken, but then when I pull my hand back down, it goes right back up to too bright, too much contrast. Maybe I should sit in front of just a stark white background, so I'll be the darkest thing on screen. I don't know. Anyway, behind me there are premiums, or thank you gifts you can get in exchange for making donations, and there's the donation count so far tonight. We're actually at $15, not just $5. Those of you who are watching, you can scroll down below the video here on Twitch, and you'll see a link where you can make a donation, and there will be other options. In addition to PayPal, there will be Cash App and Square. There will be links where you can make donations at those places. And I'm working on others. What else was I going to say? Anyone who makes any donation of any amount will receive a digital copy, a PDF of my Manos, the Hands of Fate coloring book. And then upcoming this week, on Tuesday, I'll be doing a Tuesday night live stream again. And Tuesday at 4 o'clock Pacific. And next Saturday at this time, 7 p.m. Pacific Saturday, I'll be showing a film called The Mascot, which sometimes goes by the name The Devil's Ball. A bizarre 1930s stop-motion animated film. Yeah, that's what we'll watch next week. Someone named Georgie just came in. He says schools should encourage comedic talent. How much of a delay is there on the thing? Because we finished watching the film several minutes ago. Georgie, Georgie is watching us on Periscope. Thank you for coming in. Eric says, what's playing Tuesday? I don't know what I'm going to do Tuesday. I don't watch films on Tuesday. The idea of the Tuesday night live stream was to have guests, and I really can't do that. We may just, I may try to have a virtual guest, someone else on screen with me. That's something I need to test. I need to figure out how. One of the reasons I switched software was so I could capture video calls and have another remote video person here with me. I might try to do that. Georgie says obscene. Not sure what he's talking about. I guess he's still talking about the film. Georgie says delay. Obscene delay? You mean obscene amount of delay, or, well, whatever. I imagine there's less of a delay on Twitch. I'm using Restream so I can broadcast to Twitch, Periscope, and Picarto at the same time. Some nights I also stream to YouTube and Facebook. Restream causes a delay, and then there's a natural delay on top of that for each service. So there may be quite a delay on Periscope. Georgie, how did you find us on Periscope? Were you just looking at random streams? Because I've not been promoting the Periscope. But anyway, Georgie, thank you for coming. We're getting ready to watch Animal Farm, the 1954 animated film by Hallison Batchelor out of the UK. A film that was funded by the CIA. It's an established and known historical fact today. At the time, it was not known. The makers of the film, Hallison Batchelor Studios, were certainly unaware. Georgie says scrolling live broadcast on Periscope. Yeah, that's pretty much the only way to find it on Periscope. But thank you for staying with us. Hallison Batchelor were a well-established animation house in the UK in the 1950s. Mostly they did unusual esoteric stuff, educational films, and they had a number of anti-communist films that they had produced, theatrical animated short films. They were one of the only big animation houses in the UK, and the producer, whose name you'll see at the beginning of the film, was from the US, and he had been appointed, or he had been buttonholed by the CIA to produce some sort of anti-communist propaganda film, and he ended up, of all things, making an animated version of George Orwell's Animal Farm. And there are some differences between the film and the book, of course. That's always the case. I did find a list of differences between this film and the book, and I didn't consider any of them to be really major, although they added a different ending. But mostly they were just storytelling choices, which looks to me like they just simplified things, which a movie has to do when you're adapting a novel. I'm going to start the film and turn off my microphone and just watch it with you, and we will talk about it afterwards. Talk to you then.
To the world we all know, which may or may not be the best world possible, once again springtime had come. But all the magic of spring was not enough to conceal the misery of Manor Farm. Once thriving and fruitful, the farm and its owner, Mr. Jones, had fallen on evil days. Beset by problems of his own making, Mr. Jones had turned to drink. And for his misery, he had found poor company. On the evening our story begins, It was later than usual when Mr. Jones came home from his drinking to make his rounds.
Damned old henchman. Good for nothing beasts. Eat their heads off.
On this night, all the animals had agreed that as soon as Mr. Jones was in bed, they would gather in the main barn for a secret meeting called by Old Major, the prize boar hog, who because of his years was regarded as by far the wisest of the animals. The other pigs started first for the meeting, being clever and fond of taking the lead. They were followed by Boxer, largest and strongest of the horses, and his devoted friend, Benjamin, the donkey. All the other animals, great and small, were anxious to get there, for such a meeting had never been held before. Old Major had been ailing, and now he had made known there were some things he wanted to say to his fellow animals before it might be too late. It took a while for all to find their seats. The pigs had taken up the best positions immediately in front of the platform. Among them, Snowball, determined to get a good view. And Napoleon, equally determined and even less polite. What was that? No, it wasn't Mr. Jones. And at last, everyone could be settled to hear old Major.
My dear friends, I have lived a long life. I have had much time for thought as I lay alone in my stall. I won't be with you much longer, and before I die, there's something I want to tell you. Few of us will ever know the blessings of a peaceful old age. You, boxer, when you have given the last of your great strength, what then? Whatever we produce is taken from us, stolen from us, and sold. Our children are born to cold and hunger. Look at them while you can. You porkers, do you know what the future holds for you? Do we deserve such a fate? Is this farm too poor to support us all? No, comrades. When a farm is rich, but we'll never get our rightful share from Farmer Jones. Overthrow this evil tyrant, and we shall be rich and free. Courage! But remember, when you have got rid of Jones, don't adopt his vices. We animals are brothers, large or small, clever or simple, fur or feathers. Now and forever, all animals are equal.
The very next morning, sooner perhaps than old Major would have predicted, the animals found their situation quite unbearable. And so, almost before they realized it, the animals had fought and won. They had casualties to mourn, and those who died left children to be cared for. But Manor Farm was theirs, and they lost no time in destroying everything that reminded them of hateful Mr. Jones.
Slab Silly is coming. Says hello, Keith. Hi. Hi, Slab Silly. Thanks for coming.
When it came to Mr. Jones's house, the animals hesitated. Napoleon showed the way, but Snowball took the lead in entering the place where their tyrant had lived.
Loco Acosta has come in on Periscope. Thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. He asks, "That's weird how animals can make fire?" Question mark. That's a good question. Just to suspend your disbelief here and go with the anti-communist sentiment here.
The animals were all agreed that Jones's house was no place for them. All, that is, except Napoleon. Meantime, Snowball led the other animals in organizing a new society, which they now named Animal Farm. So that all might see and agree, the laws of Animal Farm were inscribed in a prominent place, to be remembered and obeyed forever.
No animal shall sleep in a bed. No animal shall drink alcohol. 4 legs good, 2 legs bad.
Wings count as legs.
No animal shall kill another animal. All animals are equal.
Tending farm by themselves posed problems for the animals, but the pigs could think of a way around every difficulty. Boxer was the admiration of everybody. He had been a hard worker in Jones's time, but now he seemed more like 3 horses in one. Instructed by Snowball, other animals worked out the rest for themselves, and the farm work was done like magic. The success of their efforts delighted everyone, including sly Napoleon and his constant companion, Fat Pink Squealer. That summer, the animals, without any help or any interference, made a going proposition of Animal Farm. The fields yielded richly, and they were cut and gleaned with diligence and devotion. With the harvest safely home, the animals had time to think of the future. And at a meeting in the big barn, many resolutions were put forward. It was always the pigs who made the resolutions.
Comrades, our first 5 months plan is a farm-wide triumph. And the time has come to spread the glorious news so that our downtrodden comrades on other farms will break their chains and join the animal revolution. Go! Tell the wonders of Animal Farm to the world!
Some animals, content with their lot, were unimpressed by tales of peace and plenty. Others, happy in their own surroundings, were alarmed at the thought of any change. But wherever they were having a bad time, animals listened with interest.
Loco Acosta is asking what year is this film. This is from 1954. 1954. It was animated in England by Hallis and Batchelor. It was funded by the CIA in America.
In certain quarters, the rebellious behavior of a lot of dumb animals caused indignation and much conversation. But nothing was done about it, for the drunken Mr. Jones and his cronies did not know what to do. Snowball felt that education was the animals' next necessity. Some of the animals were brighter than others, of course.
B! C! D!
Snowball set himself to solve the problem of power on the farm. And so did Napoleon. In January, there came bitterly hard weather. Inexperienced management brought shortages to Animal Farm. But Snowball continued his thinking for the future. And in such thoughts, he was not alone.
Page. I have prepared a new plan for Animal Farm. Here it is. All it needs is your vote. At first, we will have to work more and eat less. But my plan will bring us electricity. It will mean a warm barn in winter. A light in every stall. Sty at roost. Luxury for all. Comrades, in one short year, Animal Farm will be the finest in the world.
Dreams, dreams.
A vote for my plan is a vote for the life beautiful.
It's a lie.
I'll promise you a 4-day week.
Bosh!
Perhaps a 3-day week.
Nonsense!
A 1-day week.
With Snowball disposed of, Napoleon stepped up confidently to take charge of Animal Farm, and Fat Pink Squealer became his obedient follower and assistant.
Comrades, Snowball is a traitor. What was he really planning? To bring back Jones. Now, let's have no more of these useless meetings. Eh? From now on, I'll protect your interests. And I'll make your decisions. Let me show you my plan for Animal Farm. Hooray! For Napoleon Hill!
And so the windmill was started after all. Nothing could have been achieved without Boxer, whose strength was greater than that of all the other animals put together.
You are welcome, Loco Acosta, who thanked me for answering his question. Our dear friend Javier is here. Thank you for coming, Javier, as usual. We're about halfway through the movie, and we're going to talk afterwards.
Superintended by the pigs, All the animals worked long shifts which lasted from dawn till dusk. Rations were shortened for the workers, but the pigs, by virtue of their brain work, were plentifully provided for. But the greatest inspiration came from Boxer, who, with his friend Benjamin, worked early and late, in season and out. One evening, after working long and late, as usual, Boxer and Benjamin made a curious discovery. Word of what now went on at night in Jones's house spread quickly through Animal Farm. Some of the animals thought they remembered a law against beds, but obviously they were mistaken. And now, other changes in the laws of Animal Farm were in store.
Those ungrateful beasts of yours. Cheer up. This won't last. Another winter will bring them to their knees. Anyway, where are they gonna buy the things they need?
In Mr. Jones's circle, the subject of shortages at Animal Farm was a popular one, and a sharp trader named Whymper was just the sort to do something about it.
Our leader, as wise as he's beloved, has decided to trade with the outside world. Not for gain, of course. That would be unworthy of our noble principles. You, hens, are to have the honor of making the first contribution. All your eggs. I know how proud you are of this privilege.
The chickens seem to remember old Major saying that their eggs should never be taken from them. The innocent suffered with the guilty, and the chickens' uprising was short-lived.
Comrades, I have made a terrible discovery. There are traitors among us. Yes, comrades. In league with Jones and Snowball. To destroy Animal Farm. Who else is guilty? Stand up and confess!
We have no more use for that song. Singing it is now forbidden, under penalty of death.
Trade between Animal Farm and the outer world now became quite brisk. As might be expected, Mr. Whymper's profits inspired others to seek their share, or at least give vent to their jealousy.
Animal Farm seems to be making money.
For Whymper.
Who ever heard of animals running a farm? Have you seen a windmill? Come on, let's kick him out. Yeah, kick him out.
The original owner was not invited to join this movement. His neighbors let him know his day was done.
Comrades, the enemy has mobilized all his forces against us. We must save Animal Farm from the hateful enemy. At all costs, with animals. Now is the time to fight, to die for Animal Farm. Let us show them all that Animal Farm is
Now began the heartbreaking job of rebuilding. And as before, Boxer and Benjamin worked hardest of all. By now, supervision of the work by pigs was hardly necessary, so they had time for less laborious pursuits. Long after the other animals left the job, Boxer and Benjamin worked on and on, giving their all, year in, year out.
Welcome to all the new people who are watching. Thank you for coming. We have
A
another
new
15
generation
minutes.
of pigs grew up, endowed with what were considered arts and graces very flattering to Animal Farm and its presiding genius.
We have another 15 minutes to go, so afterwards we'll talk.
But still the windmill was not finished, and Boxer's injured foot got worse instead of better. It looked as though Boxer were dead, but he wasn't. Not quite.
Boxer's hurt badly. He'll never work again. What do we do?
While Napoleon and Squealer made plans for Boxer, Benjamin predicted he could look forward to a well-earned rest and retirement. Next day, the windmill work went on as usual, but now without Boxer. And during the morning, what appeared to be an ambulance arrived. Only Benjamin suspected it wasn't an ambulance. The other animals finally recognized the death wagon from Mr. Whymper's glue factory.
I was with him right to the end. His last words were, "Forward, comrades! Long live Napoleon!" As for the wicked rumor that Boxer was sold to a glue factory, our beloved leader would never do that. Long live Napoleon! Long live Napoleon!
And that night, the pigs drank to Boxer's memory in the whiskey they had bought with Boxer's life. Years passed. The seasons came and went. The short animal lives fled by. The completed windmill stood as a monument to its builder's faith and sacrifice. But the animal's revolution was only dimly remembered. Outwardly, Animal Farm appeared prosperous, but the animals themselves were no better off, with the exception of the pigs and their supreme leader, Napoleon. His pig-run enterprise now had many of the frills of real civilization. And one fine day, pig delegates from far and wide arrived at Animal Farm to celebrate the coming of a new era. When reports of this great change reached them, other animals everywhere were incredulous. Dismayed and indignant, they headed toward Animal Farm from all directions, instinctively uniting once again in common cause.
On farms owned and operated by pigs, there is order and discipline. Our lower animals do more work and eat less than on other farms. This will encourage you to make your lower animals work even harder and eat even less. me to a greater animal farm. To peace and plenty under pig rule. To the day when pigs own and operate farms everywhere.
To the animals, it now seemed that their world, which may or may not someday become a happy place to live in, was worse than ever for ordinary creatures. And another moment had come when they must do something about it.
Well, there we have it. Animal Farm, 1954 film, animated by Hallis and Batchelor in England. And again, as I've been pointing out before, it was funded by the CIA. The producer, whose name appeared at the beginning and at the end, Louis de Rochemont. My understanding is, and I've not read about this in detail, my understanding is that he received money from the CIA with instructions to fund some sort of anti-communist popular project, film or whatever, and he ended up contracting with Hallis and Batchelor to animate George Orwell's Animal Farm. The film was released in 1954, as Eric says, very interesting watch, thank you. We were visited by someone named Waltz and someone else named Lemonadeaholic. And and someone named Zikanti. If they're still with us, thank you. Thank you for being with us. Please make a donation. If you scroll down underneath the Twitch video, there is a link where you can make a donation, and below that, you scroll a little bit further down, there's a link where you can choose to make a one-time donation or become a regular donor. You can make a monthly pledge. All of your donations are very much necessary here. This is a retail space. 50th Street Studio is a nonprofit. This is a retail space that we leased in December. Miranda says, I really enjoyed that. Yeah, it's an excellent film when you sit and watch it, especially when you watch it from the beginning. If you come in only partway through, it loses a lot. Anyway, 50th Street Studio is a nonprofit that has rented a retail space here in the Seattle area in December. With things the way they are now, there is no retail income coming in, none. The purpose of the retail space was to bring in retail business and pay for itself, and of course retail has essentially been outlawed. So donations are absolutely necessary, but in the meantime, we and everyone else who rents a retail space is expected to pay full rent regardless, which I am very much against. But that is the situation. In the meantime, while we talk about it, while we argue about it, while we try to protest it, we do need donations. We do need money. 50th Street Studio does have some money reserves, but we should not just burn through that. Yeah, we should not be expected to just use up all of our reserves. So that was Animal Farm. I made a few notes. Number one, as Javier was pointing out, the book was published in 1945. The animation began production in 1951, which was 6 years later, and it took 4 years to complete. I've noticed that the first half of the movie, the animation is very smooth, it's very beautiful, very, very impressive, very tight. Then the last half of the film, it gets more sparse, a little sloppy. There are a number of key scenes where I think the animation is a little more rushed, a little sloppier than it should be. As I said before, the movie was funded by the CIA through Louis de Rochemont, and what I've read is that the Halas and Batchel Studios did not know where the money was coming from. Their producer was Louis de Rochemont, but they did receive instructions and changes from the backers, which of course they didn't know was the CIA. And most importantly, they added a different ending than the book. Most of the changes were cosmetic and just about storytelling, but the two most important things, number one, they thought that Snowball was too sympathetic, and they wanted to make they wanted the animators to make Snowball more like Napoleon, like two bad choices. I think in the final version, Snowball was certainly more sympathetic than Napoleon. I mean, he certainly didn't come across as pure evil like Napoleon. But then there's the ending. My understanding, and I've not read the book, but my understanding is that at the end of the book, the pigs invited representatives from other farms who were humans, not other pigs. In the movie, the pigs sent out pigeons to farms all around the world to inform other farms about what was happening. So other farms were taken over by pigs. In the book, apparently that did not happen. In the book, the pigs invited other farmers who were humans. and the ending happened when the other animals looked in the windows and they saw that the pigs looked just like the humans, and that was the end. The movie changed that to there were delegates from other farms who were also pigs, or pig delegates, which is a subtle difference, but it's important. It's an important difference. And then they added a scene where the animals overthrew the pigs, which did not happen at the end of the book. The animals overthrowing the pigs is basically what we would want to see. It's basically what we think should happen. Orwell never wrote about what should happen or what we wish would be. Orwell wrote about reality. He always wrote about what is real, and basically he said that we can't change things. We're doomed, basically, because of our own nature and because of the nature of our leaders. So the ending that the CIA added to the story was the animals overthrowing the pigs, which is supposed to be, this is supposed to be an anti-communist film, and yet at the end the animals are coming together again to overthrow corrupt leaders, that is Marxism, right? So I don't know that this film was successfully anti-communist, anti-Marxist. It's certainly a good film, certainly worth watching. Like I said before, especially from the beginning, I do have. I did notice something that I hadn't noticed before. Right at the end there, Napoleon was saying that pigs would be running farms all over the world. That's corporatism sneaking in there at the end. I wonder if that line was written by Orwell himself, because a few years later, I think in 1958, which would be only 3 years later, he published 1984, which was basically Animal Farm was basically the story of the Communist Revolution. It was mostly historical, a historical novel. 1984, on the other hand, was science fiction, projecting what he saw coming in the future, and he was right about everything. 1984 added corporatism in there, and basically the conclusion of 1984 was that communism is not the problem, capitalism is not the problem. The problem is ultimately corporatism and corporations in collusion with government, because both of these, government and corporations, are both focused on wealth and tyranny, and he saw them working together and ultimately taking over the world together. And boy, was he right. And he saw this he published this book in 1948. The World War II was barely over, and he saw it coming. There was the thing about the pigs changing the rules, changing the list of rules. Like when the animals noticed the pigs sleeping in beds, and then they looked at the rule about no animal shall sleep in a bed, the pigs had added the phrase "with sheets." We see that happen every day, especially with this administration. There was a thing that happened just yesterday, or maybe early. No, it was yesterday. That idiotic animal, that son-in-law of Trump's. What is his name? He held a press conference where he talked about reserves, the medical equipment reserve system run by the federal government, and he said something about how these reserves don't belong to the states. They belong to the government, and it's ours to decide what to do with it. But people immediately pointed out that the front page of the program said that these are reserves run by the states, accessible by the states at the state's discretion. The next day, the front page had been changed. It had been reduced to a single short paragraph, which did not include anything about the states. So, yeah, that happens in front of us all the time, in front of our eyes. And so far, nobody in government has paid consequences for that. Anyway, another note I had was that I had forgotten the windmill was completed. I had forgotten that part. I remembered it being destroyed. I remembered Boxer dying before completing it, but I'd forgotten that the windmill was ultimately completed. Let's see. Another note I wrote was, I'm quite certain, even though I didn't read the book, I'm quite certain that Orwell did not include detailed descriptions of how the animals farmed the crops and tended the fields, like, chickens passing tiny bundles of hay up the ladders, and I'm quite sure he did not write about details like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. Who's still watching? Miranda's still here. Eric was still here. Javier, are you still here? All right. Anyway, one of the things that I remembered from seeing this film when I was young was the thing about 4 legs good, 2 legs bad, and the chickens being upset about that, and the pig assuring them wings count as legs. I remembered that line from many years ago. I was also noticing the little yellow duckling in the first half of the film. He wasn't growing up. The puppies grew up to be big black menacing dogs, but the little yellow duckling didn't grow up. But then, after I noticed that, I was thinking to myself, am I going to see the little yellow duckling in the second half of the film? No, he wasn't there, so evidently he did grow up. And the other thing I would have liked to have seen when the animals renamed Manor Farm to Animal Farm, in the film they had painted out the word manor and written animal over it. I would have liked to see them try to make the word manor spell animal, like put an A in front of it and an L at the end, so it would say aminoral. Because animals don't spell, they don't read. I think aminoral would have been really funny. I think they missed a trick there. All right, that's it. Everyone, thank you. Everyone who's here, thank you for watching. And please tell me if you're still here. That's always helpful. Again, there are, behind me, there are some thank you gifts you can receive if you make donations at the $20, $50, and $100 levels. And any donation you make, from now on, I will send everyone who makes a donation a digital copy, a PDF file of my Manos, The Hands of Fate coloring book. Eric says present. Miranda says thanks, cool movie night. I did enjoy watching the film through. I didn't think I would. I did like it. It's an educational film. I think it's something that everyone should be familiar with. And I enjoyed playing the Mighty Mouse cartoon as well. That was great fun. And I do wish that Jim had died. What did he say? He joked himself to death. What was it? Miranda says, not the hardest one we've sat through. Well, it was hard in the sense that it wasn't funny. Usually, even with Monster Squad, as difficult as it was, we were laughing about it. Even though it wasn't particularly funny, it was so inept, we were laughing about it. This one, there was nothing to laugh at. So I considered it, as much as I liked seeing it, as much as worthy as it is to see, it's not easy. It's not an easy watch, I think. So it was different from some of our worst films for different reasons. But please, everyone, make donations. It is vital that we get those donations in. I'm treading water as hard as I can. I'm going back to my old model of doing commissioned illustrations online, which I was doing before, and I was hoping to leave behind, and I was starting to do that, but I've gone back to it now. But I can only, alone, I can only generate about half of what's needed here. Okay, let's talk about next week. On Tuesday, I'll be doing 4 o'clock Pacific time. I'll be doing a live stream. Maybe I'll try to get a guest in here by internet. And then on Saturday at 7, at our regular Saturday movie, Eric says, "I wish I could help more." Well, I appreciate what you've done already, Eric. And thank you, everyone who has donated. Spread the word. Miranda says Space Ghost Puzzle. I'm just saying, yeah. So next Saturday I'll be showing a stop motion animated film from the 1930s called The Mascot. It is about, it was animated by a Polish animator who was living in France at the time. The film is in French, but there's hardly any words in it at all. It's basically a silent film. It was animated in a stop motion style that nobody uses anymore. Today we call it Go Motion. At the time, I don't think it had a unique name. These days we call it Go Motion. The difference is that usually in stop motion, the figurines and the puppets that you're filming are standing still when you open the shutter to shoot a frame of film of it, to basically take a still photo of it, and then move the puppet a little bit, and then shoot another frame, a frame or two or whatever. When we usually think of stop motion, the figurine is standing perfectly still, so the pictures are very sharp, and it doesn't look natural. The movements don't look natural. With Go Motion, the animator actually moves the subject slightly while the shutter of the film camera is open, so that the figurine, the whole body or the arms or the legs or whatever part is moving is blurred slightly, and it gives a very different result. With normal stop motion animation like with King Kong and your usual Harryhausen film, you're like saying, "Oh, that looks great," but it's very jerky, very. You can tell it's all pixelated. With Go Motion, your emotional response is very different. You see these things, you see these puppets moving, and your eyes tell you that thing is moving. It's a very different kind of experience. This particular animator was very good at that sort of thing. The Mascot, it's only about 40 minutes long. It's about a stuffed puppy toy, a woman who makes a tiny little stuffed puppy toy for her sick daughter, and the toy, somehow he ends up in hell. And there's a lot of really bizarre imagery in the film, some really disturbing imagery. I was really hoping to show this to a live audience here. It's a film that you will never forget. You may forget the name of it, you may forget where you saw it, but you will never forget the things that you see in this film. So please come back next week. And once again, thank you, everybody. And I will sign off. Good night.